Hi, my name is Brett Schultz. I'm going to be taking you guys today through chapter 18, which is on digital audio. Go ahead and switch to that second slide. I want to begin by talking a little bit about what digital audio has done for first our culture and then also for our economy. As we can see from this first bullet point, digital audio has created an ever-expanding amount of options for us to download this content. We are able to use online sources such as Spotify or iTunes, or we're able to download music straight to our phones or our devices. But digital audio has forced there to become so many options to get this content. This has also resulted in higher quality of audio. Instead of having to listen to an old CD that might be a little bit scratched or anything like that, or a tape player, we are able to listen to this audio straight from the original file itself, resulting in a higher quality of audio. There's also more convenience in music downloading. Instead of having to go to a store and buy a CD, or wait for a CD to arrive to you that you've ordered online, you can go straight to your computer or straight to your device and download this content immediately. I know for me, it's a lot more daunting of a task to go to a store and buy a CD rather than just purchase it straight to my phone and have it in seconds. This has even forced me to become more willing to buy music. If I know I'm going to get it immediately, I'm more willing to buy. So the fact that we can stream it straight to our devices has really upped the sales for record companies. Additionally, the ability to share music recommendations has made sales rise for record companies. We can use things such as Spotify or other social medias to tell people about who we're listening to and exactly when we're listening to them, resulting in more popularity for the artist and more sales for their records. Go ahead and switch to slide number 3. I want to talk a little bit about the background of this source of media. 3.6 billion digital audio downloads were purchased globally in the year of 2011. And that's an increase of 17% from the year before that, 2010. So as we can see, every year digital audio is becoming much more accessible and much more popular. And remember, these stats are from the year 2011, so since then, these stats have risen to be even higher. Digital music is also the primary source of revenue for record companies in the year 2011. 32% of sales came from digital audio. And this contrasts other types of sales. So things like online newspapers, only 5% of their sales came from digital media as opposed to physical content. Ebooks, only 4% of the revenue came from digital downloading, and then films, only 1%. Now remember, our book was written in 2012, so since then, with things like Netflix and Hulu, the popularity of downloading music or downloading films straight to your computer has risen a little bit, but in the year 2011, right in the prime of digital audio, films were only at 1% of revenue. Go ahead and switch to that next slide, slide number 4. Digital audio has given the consumer a choice to make. They can either buy this content online, they can either rent this content, or they can steal this content. And that's created a sense of urgency to make sure that people know the dangers and the illegal activity that downloading music for free, downloading it illegally is. You've probably seen a lot of these commercials at movies that talk about, you wouldn't steal a car, you wouldn't steal something from a house. In the same way, you wouldn't steal music online. There's no difference. It's still illegal activity. So these companies are trying to point out to people, hey, even though it's easy, even though it doesn't affect anyone else, even though you're using it for personal use, it's still illegal. It's still hurting the artist. It's still hurting these record companies. Because online streaming became so easy, it became easy to download free content. Things like the Audio Home Recording Act of 1992 were put into place, and this act said that you can download content, but it can only be for private individual use. But even still, that was hurting the market for music and for artists. And so in 1997, the No Electronic Theft Law was enacted, which stated that any sound recordings, any music that's downloaded illegally could result in prosecution, meaning 3 years in jail or $250,000 fine. So that's really made people a lot more wary and a lot more careful of downloading music illegally, because there are now consequences. And I think that our culture has realized the weight of what this has done to artists. They realize that artists are not making as much money now because people can get this content for free. So people have a desire to make sure that these artists are compensated for their work by following these laws and by downloading this music legally. Go ahead and switch to slide number 5. Let's talk about how this media works. Well, I'll go ahead and read this first point. The audio is digitalized by sampling the amplitude strength of a waveform from a capturing device, such as a microphone, using an analog to digital converter. And I'll put that in simpler terms. Basically, the audio is recorded straight into a file and is compressed so it can remain within that file. And there's 2 types of compressions that happen here. So the first is lossless compression. In this compression, the audio is encoded, it's given numbers and equations, which allows it to take up less space, but it contains all of the content of the original copy. And then next is lossy compression, which reduces the size further by getting rid of any unnecessary noise that's happening. So these are the ways that the files are recorded into a device or a computer, but then the content and the audio is compressed to create a file. Go ahead and switch to the next slide, slide number 6, the history of digital audio. Before the 90s, computers were using WAVE to do music and to record music. The problem with this was that WAVE had an enormous size. A 2-minute song using a WAVE file would take up 20 megabytes of space. So in other words, a 10-song CD would need 200 megabytes of disk space in order to have all the content on there. And this just wasn't possible for the compact discs that they had at this time. But the Moving Pictures Expert Group, MPEG, squeezed these files into smaller files when they created MP3s in the 1990s. And MP3s can take the music from a CD and shrink it by a factor of 12. So instead of a 200 megabyte CD, that can be shrunk to allow all of the songs and all of the content, all of the files to fit onto that disc. In 1982, the first compact disc was introduced, and then in 1989, the rewritable CD was created by Sony and by Philips. And this gave people the ability to take music from their computers, burn it onto a CD, and then listen to it in their car or distribute it to other people as well. Go ahead and switch over to slide number 7. We'll continue here. In 1997, the first portable MP3 player was produced. It was called the MP Man. This is a little before my time when I was listening to music personally, so what I remember as being the big thing was in 2001 when Apple produced the first iPod. And this had a 5 gigabyte hard drive. And then in 2002, this device became much more popular because it became compatible with computer programs such as Windows and a Music Match Jukebox, so people could take their music on their computers and put it on their devices. Now keep in mind that only 5 gigabytes of audio was able to be stored on these devices, but that was much more than anyone else had before that. So this was a huge deal for our society. In 2007, Apple produced the first iPod Touch. This opened the door for music, but also games and messaging, that kind of thing. And then in 2008, the big 4 record companies began to offer DRM free music tracks over the internet. This is a big deal because DRM was a way to protect the legal rights of these artists, and DRM was put on these online songs so that this audio and the content would only play on DRM compatible devices. This kept people from downloading songs on the internet because they couldn't listen to it on whatever device they wanted. So in 2008, when the big 4 record companies removed DRM, people could then download freely and listen to it on whatever device they wanted, as long as it would download as a file on their computer. Switch to slide 8. Let's talk about some other forms of digital media, peer-to-peer sharing, P2P. It connected computer systems via internet and allowed the sharing of music. So things like iTunes home sharing or Views or LimeWire. This was a way for people to download music but then share it freely with others. This became a problem because instead of people purchasing their own music, they could just get music from whoever they wanted, download onto their computer, and then put it on a CD or put it on their iPod, things like that. So it was, again, a problem because artists weren't being compensated for their work with their content. So LimeWire, one of these programs that allowed you to share music freely, was shut down in 2010, so this wouldn't prove to be as much of an issue. Podcasting is also another form of digital media. Podcasting includes things like radio programs, music videos, even music sometimes, that you can download onto your device. I know personally for me, Serial is a big podcast that I've really been into lately. This is something that was released week by week, kind of like a TV show that you could download and listen to it wherever you go. So even radio has taken part in digital audio because you can download radio shows and people just talking, even people like things like stand-up comedians. You can download these things and put them on your computer, put them on devices, listen to them at any time, wherever you are. Go ahead and switch to slide number 9. Let's talk about recent developments. Wireless digital media includes things like AT&T Music Mobile, Verizon Wireless Music, Sprint Music Plus. These were all subscriptions that people could buy into so that they could pay a flat cost and then download music freely. Some more subscription-based services are things like Rhapsody, Pandora, Spotify. Now these things have become free, Pandora and Spotify specifically. Pandora became more of when I started listening to it, it was more of a radio kind of thing, so it'd shuffle music, but you could still listen to music for free, but you couldn't choose exactly what songs you wanted. Spotify has really revolutionized things because you are now able to go onto Spotify, type in basically any artist and basically any album or any song, and listen to it immediately. Now this is only through computers, but you can also pay a flat rate for Spotify Premium, so you can have access to their entire database and listen to music on your portable devices or wherever you go. Spotify is a great way to listen to free music, but there are a lot of artists that have begun taking their music off of Spotify. People like Taylor Swift have realized that Spotify is something that has hurt their own record sales. So they've said, to listen to my music, I need my fans to download it and purchase it themselves, so I'm able to be compensated for this work that I'm doing. And then free playlists and webcaster services, things like Digster and things like SoundCloud. These are ways for individuals to create their own music and post them online for other people to download and listen to. Go ahead and go to slide number 10. We'll talk about the current status of digital media. Keep in mind that these all of these facts are from 2011, so really things have just grown since that day. But we'll talk about what the textbook says. So it points out that 54% of adults listen to digital audio in their homes daily. This is a huge amount, and this is showing us that people are more so listening to audio that they download or they stream from the internet than they are from digital discs. 43% of this audio is downloaded, and 37% of it is streamed. So the good news here is that people are buying music and listening to it more than they're just streaming it for free from the internet. And we also see that an average of 2.6 hours a day is listened to by adults in America through downloaded content, and an average of 2 hours a day is streamed music. So we see that again, more content is being downloaded than streamed for free, which is really refreshing for these artists. Portable audio equipment sales were at $5.98 billion in 2010. And that is 160% higher than they were in 2004. So because digital audio has become ever increasing and much more accessible, these companies are making products that allow you to listen to digital audio wherever you are. So the revenue and the sales of these products that allow you to listen to the audio are skyrocketing. In 2011, this was the first time digital sales surpassed physical sales, claiming 50.3%. So for the first time in 2011, more people were buying music through the internet than they were from physical copies of CDs or tapes. So again, this is from 2011. So I believe that even more people are downloading music and buying it through the internet now because of the convenience. Additionally, in 2011, 112 digital songs excluded the 1 million sales mark. Now this is extremely common for artists to be selling more content through the internet than they are through physical sales. Go and switch to slide number 11. We'll continue here. In 2011, there were more than 13.4 million paying digital music online subscribers. Now there are less than that because of free content such as Spotify, but this amount has really grown. Like I said, people like Taylor Swift are taking their content off of Spotify so that people have to buy their music, but a lot of people are getting music for free on these sites. And then finally, when LimeWire was shut down in 2010, peer-to-peer sharing fell from 16% in 2007 to 9% in 2011. So this just shows that a lot more people are purchasing music and doing things legally than they were in 2007. Switch to the next slide. That's about all I have. So now a question for you. I want to ask you, what convictions should we as Christians have regarding free digital audio sharing or free digital audio downloads? Are there things that point to this in Scripture because of its illegal activity, or do you believe that this is a gray area, that this is something that Christians just shouldn't really worry about so much? In addition to that, does free audio sharing help the musician or does it harm the musician? We see through people like Taylor Swift, she feels that free audio downloads are hurting her industry, whereas a lot of people are still continuing to produce their songs and their content for free because they know it will rise their popularity and they'll get money from other sources. So what do you think? What have you seen proven to be true? Is it beneficial for the artist to have free downloads of their songs available, or is it harmful? Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you have a great day.